Hello, everyone. Welcome to Please Pause episode 3. My name is Cyan. Today is June 16th, 2016, and we're going to go through the top news from the week in StarCraft 2 esports. I'm going to tell you what I think about it. I'm going to deliver it to you in headline format and then give you my opinion. Let's dig in. Psystorm's True has been granted a visa that will allow him to play in WCS Global events. Psystorm's web developer, Carl J.G. on Twitter, confirmed that True would be forfeiting his Code S spot in lieu of competing in WCS Global. True will live in the Psystorm team house in Virginia, USA. To me, the first thing that I thought when I heard about this story was I'm a little disappointed in True for not staying in Code S, for forfeiting that Code S spot. Apparently what happened was True played Code S because he wasn't sure whether or not he would be approved for the visa, so he hedged his bets, played in Code S, did what he could. I understand why True would want to play outside of Korea. I understand why Psystorm wants him to play outside of Korea. Just Code S is the best tournament in the world. It's so prestigious. It's such a big deal. I do feel disappointment when people forfeit in Code S. That's a really big deal for me. And I think in the StarCraft scene where there's so much stigma around certain players doing poorly or not practicing or failing to show for events, things like that, I do think that it's unfortunate for True to forfeit in Code S. Having said that, good for him. As a Code S level player, True is almost certainly guaranteed payout in terms of prize pool from competing in WCS global events because the level of competition in the foreign scene just isn't Code S. It's just not. Whether or not he's going to just sweep every tournament he attends and just win it all, I don't know. I think that actually kind of seems unlikely. I'm sure he'll do really well, and I hope he's really fun to watch. Both Lycan and Jack Attack have confirmed the existence of another community summit for StarCraft 2 at Blizzard in California. Details on who has been invited and when the summit will take place this year have not yet been revealed. This is interesting and exciting news, I think. I know that some people in the community feel quite jaded towards the community summit idea because last year there was a lot of hype built up and some people feel like it wasn't fulfilled. But to me, the main thing to take away from this story is that Blizzard is very, very, very intent on listening to the people who make their livelihoods off of this game and who want to make their livelihoods off of this game in terms of features to be adding, in changes to be made, lots of different things, and I think that's great. I think that that is a fantastic idea that I don't see other esports companies doing at all, and I would like them to continue that. Blizzard, I don't know if you have my email address correct, but I have not yet received my invite. Please get on that. The Late Game is going on hiatus. In a statement on Our StarCraft, host and creator Lycan remarked that he felt the show was declining in quality recently, as his schedule has allowed for less and less time to execute and plan the show in the way that he would like. Lycan announced two new regular shows: the return of The Evolution Chamber, a show where top players analyze the metagame, and Tactical Pause, a general esports/gaming show. As for the late game, Lycan remarked, quote, "That doesn't mean that I'm done with StarCraft 2 content. This is a hiatus. I fully intend to bring the show back as soon as possible." End quote. Before digging into this, I am a little biased. Lycan is the one who did all of this art that you see. Lycan gave me a big boost up by putting me on the late game. In fact, one of the last late games that he did before this announcement. It's really sad to see the late game be put on hiatus. Right now, as far as I know, as far as I can remember, this is the first time there hasn't been a regular StarCraft 2 talk show since the end of State of the Game, and I'm fairly certain that Unfiltered came right in after the end of State of the Game. Likewise, at the first end of Unfiltered, the late game and then Remax swooped in relatively quickly after that show ended. And now it's unfortunate. I'm not sure who's left to do another show. Remax ended a couple of months ago, it seems, and viewership has seemed to be dropping quite steadily for StarCraft. The interest in it seems to be falling off quite a lot. So I'm not sure if there will be a replacement while the late game is on hiatus, and that sucks. I feel like there's a lot of hot button issues to be talking about every week in StarCraft 2. I feel like there's lots of interesting topics to be talking about where you can take multiple different viewpoints. And again, showing my own bias, that's a little bit good for me doing this show. I mean, I do this show every week where I kind of talk about my opinions on what's happened in the last week of StarCraft. That's not the same thing, but it's kind of close. So maybe this will end up being good for me in terms of viewership, but not as a fan. I would sit and watch StarCraft content talk shows forever if I could. I love them. Although, in fairness, the last time that I felt like I was truly getting an inside look into the scene was honestly the last episode of Unfiltered, which is one of my favorite pieces of esports content of all time because of how deep an inside look it is. But I can't fault Lycan for putting the late game on hiatus. That's certainly not what I want to be saying at all. I completely understand. I mean, the last episode that he did, to my knowledge, it was just him and In Control talking for about less than an hour, I would assume, much less than an hour, which is disappointing. I can understand why he wouldn't think that that's up to the quality that he would want to be putting out there. And life happens. He's got a lot going on. It sounds like he's got a new job. He said he moved. So I can understand why he'd want to put it on hiatus. I hope that something else steps up. I'm not going to lie. Hopefully the late game will come back as quick as it possibly can, and we can get some more great StarCraft 2 discussion. Root Katz is temporarily working as a consultant for Blizzard's famous Team 1, the team responsible for the development and balance of StarCraft 2 and Heroes of the Storm. In a statement on Twitter, Katz said that he was excited for the opportunity and that he would have to be a little more tight-lipped in the community. He went on to reinforce that idea in another statement on Our StarCraft. Once again, just keeping with the theme, I am affiliated with Root Gaming as an official vlogger, so if you feel like that makes me biased on this story, then I completely understand that. I did that last week too, and I did that for Lycan. Most people said, that's ridiculous, you're not biased. I do want to put it out there because I think it's important. This is directly related in my head to the same concept of the Blizzard Community Summit, and just Blizzard bringing in people from outside of the company, people who make their livelihoods on StarCraft 2, who want to make their livelihoods on StarCraft 2, who depend on StarCraft 2 in some way, shape, or form. I think that's really important for a sense of perspective. If you only have the people who work at Blizzard, maybe you can get a little tunnel-visioned, a little bit echo chamber of an opinion kind of thing going on. So it's really good to bring in these outside voices, and I love that Blizzard does it. I love that Blizzard does that with people. I think that Katz is a really good choice for this role too. Katz is one of the most analytical professional players that I know is out there. I think that the way he thinks about the game is really unique in terms of the numbers, in terms of the game design, in terms of the balance. I was actually fortunate enough to help with Katz's Swarmhost article back when root-gaming.com first was relaunched. Talking with him about balance is really a pleasure. He's very insightful, he's very intelligent. There's nothing bad I can possibly say. It's only good things. For anybody that might not know what Team 1 is at Blizzard, Team 1 is the development team that is specifically responsible for StarCraft 2 and Heroes of the Storm. Team 1 dates back to 1994 when StarCraft 1, StarCraft Original, was developed and launched. They also were responsible for Warcraft 3. Now the team is divided into StarCraft 2 and Heroes of the Storm. Within the division itself for StarCraft 2, there are people responsible for the esports side of things, for the single-player side of things, for arcade, lots of different facets of the game. I can only assume that Katz will be working directly with the esports and the game balance people, just because that makes sense, but I really don't know. Katz could be working with anybody as far as I know. The only downside of the story is that he'll be streaming a little bit less on weekdays, if at all, and he won't be as vocal in the community. And Katz has always been pretty vocal in the community, and I personally like it. That's the show for this week. Before we go, I want to talk about the upcoming week of StarCraft events, tell you guys what's going on. Pro League is my pick to watch. MC had an enormous debut in Jin Air Green Wings. I won't spoil it for you, but if you haven't seen it, you should probably go watch the most recent match for Jin Air Green Wings in Pro League. Another good pick, strong pick, Code A on Wednesday of next week, the day before I do this show. My personal favorite, Korean Terran, Bomber, playing in that group. It'll be super hype. I'm going to link down below the Team Liquid events calendar for the week. If you guys want to follow the Twitter account, the official StarCraft 2 esports Twitter account where I pulled the image that you just saw, esports StarCraft on Twitter, go follow it. I also want to say that I hear you guys on the constructive criticism that I've been getting on my microphone. I will be trying to fix that as soon as possible. Also trying to get a better webcam. Fingers crossed, right? If you want to see more of this, if you want to see more content like this, more of me, let people know that this is a thing that happens. Let your casual esports friends know this is a thing that happens. Every week they can get their StarCraft fill. If you want to follow me on Twitter, if you want to follow me on YouTube, Tumblr, Twitch, I'm Cyan Esports on all of those things. So hit me up, guys. Thanks so much. Have a great week.